car ramming in Germany leaves 2 dead and multiple injured. I guess we'll have to start taking cars from people because they can't be trusted. Cars kill people. People don't kill people. Cars do. So we shouldn't, who cares about freedom? Just take their cars. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky visited the UK this weekend and met with UK Prime Minister Starmer at a summit of European leaders. After the visit, UK committed $2 billion in loans to Ukraine. And guess what they're backing the loans with? Just like Trump said, Russian assets that are locked up in UK, which is what we already knew they were doing, and it's what France is doing. So they're already doing it, like Trump said he would, like that Trump said they were, so it's interesting. Zelensky commented that they are very far from making even the first steps to end this war. Trump replies, "This is the worst comment you could possibly make. 1 to 10, it's a 1 in making comments on war." Despite a raft of sanctions through the tough talk against Russian Vladimir Putin, Europe could not seem to kick its dependence on Russian fuel last year. The European Union spent $23 billion on Russian oil and gas, yet only $19.6 billion in the last fiscal year to aid to Ukraine. Man, they're a war-ravaged nation. You couldn't spare a few extra bucks? Well, no, we got America. They'll help out, right? This was all according to the Center for Research in Energy and Clean Air. Last week, an influential group of American Christians publicly reaffirmed the Jewish people's right to Judea and Samaria as the biblical heartland of Israel. The Judea and Samaria area is commonly known as the West Bank. So I guess there was 3 areas that they declared was part of Israel for Palestinians, and then I forget what the third one was for. And they've pretty much threw all that out the window, and now they're pretty much having Israel take the whole thing, and, they hope that they can get Trump's backing on this, and apparently religious leaders are also backing this. The declaration was unveiled at the annual National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Dallas by American Christian Leaders for Israel, and was expected to be signed by 3,000 religious leaders before being delivered to President Donald Trump. If anyone has any information on this, I'd like to know, because there's Christians who are against Israel, and there seem to be an uprising of them, and they're against all of this. And then there are Christians who are like, no, we got to secure, the biblical land. But, so if anyone has any information, hit me up. I'd like to know some more about this. I tried reading into it, but, every side's so biased. So anyway. Financial news, what do farmers think of the increased price of eggs? Everyone's saying what, everyone thinks about it, but what do the farmers think, right? So the farmers told Fox Business News they support the effort to focus on protecting egg-laying hens from highly pathogenic avian influenza, otherwise known as bird flu, believing it will help stabilize the U.S. egg supply and reduce prices. So, this wasn't just a few chickens got influenza, so then they killed all the chickens, and then now we're recouping. It's actually happening, all the time, and then they kill them, and then it comes back and it kills them, but the numbers got so high that they end up having to kill everything. And even the ones they did kill, the chickens today that are alive are still having problems with the influenza sickness. So it's far from eradicated, and, might take a little while before we get prices down, back down. But what I don't understand is I go to the store and buy eggs, right? And I have a family of 4 or 4 people that live in my house, and we'll buy maybe 2 cartons of eggs, right? And it's not too bad. We go to Albertsons or wherever and get some eggs, and we'll order them online. But then you see these lines at Costco and people coming out with carts of eggs. Are you reselling the eggs? Why do you all of a sudden because on the news there's this craze about eggs, and now all of a sudden you want to go in and buy up all the eggs? It just makes the problem worse. Do people care about their community, or they're just getting fooled all the time? Speaking of getting fooled, DeepSeek AI bot is a part of China's unrestricted warfare doctrine. So, all their companies are benefiting China's government. They're not a free capitalistic system like we are. And DeepSeek's AI is definitely under that umbrella. So don't be fooled in wanting to invest in it. My suggestion is just stay away from it. We shouldn't empower it in any way. For those who are just to make a few bucks or to invest, USA, USA. President Donald Trump said on Monday that tariffs will go on external agricultural products early April. Market continues to tank overall. With inflation the way it is and stocks as low as they are, experts from every background are beckoning you to not remodel your house, to not buy a new car, and to cancel that vacation. and instead invest in the market. If you plan to hold long term, this is your time. Just going to have to tell your wife she's going to have to suck it up because, this is your moment. This is the moment you've been waiting for. And you can make quite a bit of money if we can, I don't know, or it could turn for the worst. We all lose everything. I don't know. Some local news, California news, I guess. Local news, California news. California has ramped up its penalties on human sex trafficking through efforts spearheaded by Bakersfield State Senator Shannon Grove. Grove introduced another bill, this time amid protecting all victims under 18. So I guess the first bill only protected people who were under, excluded cases with 16 and 17-year-old victims. Wow, I didn't even realize that. So, I guess now they're trying to pass another bill that's going to add on to getting these kiddos protected as well, which is important. I mean, man, that's that they passed a bill where only if you're under 16 you get protected and the penalties are high, but if you're 16, 17, or 18, they're not as high. Man, who is fighting on these people's side? I mean, how do they even win in that? That is just sick, right? I mean, it's sex trafficking, you guys. But I guess that's what happens when, you change your entire demographic of your state, and then the voters no longer want to support common sense things of people. They just want to support, their new voter base, right? Students from several high schools once again walk out of classroom on Monday morning and went downtown Bakersfield to protest. Now, when you see all these students, on news, it's saying that they're protesting the U.S. Immigration policy, right? Trump's immigration policy. But they have Palestinian flags and LGBTQ flags, mostly. I mean, there's like one Mexican flag. I saw like one Mexican flag. So it's like, man, it's just a hodgepodge of left bull crap. And it's just the way these high school students are getting out of school is what I think. But, maybe that's a good thing. The Republican children, or the kids, high schoolers, they're listening to their parents. They're going to school and studying. And then, they'll get out of school and go to college, get a good job, pay their taxes. And then their taxes will go to the welfare for these people that are missing school and holding signs out on the street. So, it's like the American circle of life, you could say. A bit of history. The Mos Memoriam was an unwritten code from which the ancient Romans derived their social norms. It included time-honored principles, behavioral models, and social practices that affected private, political, and military life in ancient Rome. Republican freedom was based on the civic relations and shared values. All right, so, our country was based on the Roman Republic, right? 3 branches of government, and they had a moral code. And they try to stick by it. And most politicians and leaders in that time always, claim to stick by it. Many historians claim that the degradation of the morality was the major cause of the Roman Republic's downfall. So, it's something we should pay attention to. The Roman Republic was what we're based on. They fell a certain way. So how did they fall? And are we undergoing the same things? The United States founding fathers drew a lot of inspiration from the way of governing. But did they anticipate we would undergo the same fate as Rome so many years ago? John Adams even said, "Our Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. It's whom adequate to the government of any other." So, meaning, well, I guess you know what that means, right? It's for people who are religious and immoral, and it's not for people who are not. So, if this is so, and this is what they believed, will our fall be due to from us becoming immoral people? Will this be a major factor in when we fall, or if we do fall? Will it because our people are becoming immoral? I don't know, maybe. And then also, too, the bigger question about this is, like, who determines what is moral and what is immoral? And I spend a lot of time thinking about this because, you sit and you think, what is right and what is wrong? And how do we decide what our policies are and what, should you be Republican? Should you be Democrat? And what are your needs and what are your wants? From a simple perspective, it's like, well, a lot of Republicans live in more rural areas and maybe in, they believe in certain things. Sometimes they're working class right now. I guess they are. And the Democrats, have different needs. And, property rights are a major factor of Republicans because why we own more property. People that live in the cities typically own less property, so they don't care as much property tax. And that makes sense. But what about beliefs? Like, what is right and what is wrong? Like on the topic of abortion. Is abortion right or is it abortion wrong? So how do we determine? For believers in God, the Bible offers a framework, and for non-believers, nature is beneficial to those who are kind. So then, how can we decide what is moral and what is not? Should we decide based on the time and history we sit in? discounting past wisdom from the Bible and imposing our single lifetime's experience to decide what is right and what is wrong? What if it's a common practice in society to kill your wife because you want a new one? Would it be acceptable to do so because the rest of society is doing it? Would that be making it moral to kill your wife? No. No, right? So then can we see how important it is to be based and grounded in the beliefs of the Bible based on, thousands of years of wisdom? Non-believers and critics will say the Bible has been used to justify immoral things, but do these few instances negate the entire Bible? So, although they use the Bible to justify, like the Salem witch trials, they use the Bible to say she's a witch and she's worshiping the devil. We should, put her to death or whatever. Does the Bible say to do that? No, I think they interpreted the Bible and, that's man's interpretation, but that's not what the Bible's, meant to do. This is a question we'll probably always ask, like what, and then also too, will we ever be able to nail down what is morality? And if we do, are we going to write it into law somehow? Or are we going to say that you have to be Christian or religious? Or do you have freedom of religion, right? Which is what our country is based on, which is good. But, how do we determine what our morality is? It's a question that should be answered and then also, politically connected. Anyway, have a good Monday.